Welcome back to Dropped In. I am legit flooded with shivers already, and I have been so looking forward to sharing this beautiful soul with you all today. I am so honored to have my dear friend, soul sister, past client, Valerie, with you today. And I am just so excited for the expansion that's going to occur between our conversation and with everything today. So welcome, Valerie. Before we dive deep, I would love to just share your bio with the beautiful souls listening to us today. So Valerie has an enthusiasm for life, seeing, encompassing, evoking. Her soul-directed life paints creations that come through as oracle arts, moving within multiple dimensions of time and space and of color. Trusting her art is intuitively directed and unique to each moment. Living from the heart as an artist, a mother, or within space in this reality is her soul's divine purpose, reminding us all to be sovereign beings, to see one another, to love one another, to honor one another. Her art is an extension of us, of you, of her, reminding us all to create our own realities, that we are the creators. Oh my goodness. Again, just like whole body flooded with shivers. Welcome, Valerie. I am so stoked to be here with you today.
Oh, thanks, Megan. I'm flooded with shivers also.
Oh.
It's like,
Okay, you guys. So, Valerie is such a gifted artist. I have many pieces, and I always say to her, if I had
yes.
more wall space, I would buy all of her art. So, do yourself a favor. As soon as you're off this episode, please go to check out her gifts of her soul on Instagram, and I'll put it in the show notes to ensure that you give her a follow and check out her magic and her medicine. So,
Thanks, Megan.
truly.
Yeah, it's like I just right then when you were reading my bio, it's like I did your Sacred Sister Circles with you, right? And it brought me back to one of our last one when everybody stood up and we started sharing. They shared what they thought about us,
Mhm.
and that was so challenging at first to hear that truth about myself. And now that I see like myself like 3 years later and where I am, I'm able to encompass that and to really be my authentic self. And it's like magic,
Mm.
the work that we have done and where we are. And you don't realize it, but like, I don't know, I'm on a podcast with you right now. I'm sitting in my living room and I'm actually able to even talk. Like when I first met you, if I had a computer, I'd be like, oh, I would not even be able to articulate. I would have probably said no and never been able to hand in my bio or anything. I would have just skipped by it, right? So I want to say thank you for seeing me and giving me the chance when you saw me, because I might have not been seeing myself or at a level, and you opening up the opportunities for me to be in Sacred Sister Circle, see my art as value outside of just me thinking, I don't know, I wouldn't be here. I truly wouldn't be here. And it's like evolving every day. And thank you for seeing me and saying you'd have your walls with my art, because I'm just here painting and I love it so much. Like, and discovering who I am as an artist. Like, is maybe 2 weeks ago, I'm like, oh, I think possibly I'm an oracle when I paint or I channel, because I didn't really understand. I didn't want to understand it either, maybe, but now looking back, it's like, it's pretty amazing what comes through. And I think that I'm allowed to say that. Like we're allowed to say we're great because yeah, if we say, then we allow space for others to say it also. And I want this world's vibration to elevate and for us to sit here and to have these conversations and for people to realize that they are a gift, that they can do this too. Like this is just there. I just love color and mine seems to be coming out that way. But yeah, so expansion, right?
Yes. Dropping in. I just love you with every fiber of my being. My cells are dancing whenever I am with you. And it's just such an honor to be here, not only here together, but just to be here on this journey together. And yeah, it's my honor to see you. And thank you for seeing me. We are equal. And, as Ram Dass says, we are guiding each other home. And it's just been such a gift to watch your evolution and to really witness you stepping into and owning your power and owning your gifts and showing up the way you do and sharing your truth. When I think of Valerie, I think of purity. I think of authenticity. It's like you are the real deal. And so thank you for showing others what's possible through your unique, authentic ways. Like you're just a gift. And I love you so much.
I love you too. And I think it's like my soul's purpose. I just been reading up on my North Node and South Node, and it's actually even in the stars. I was with my aunt yesterday and I'm like, Auntie, it's even in the stars. Like it makes sense. It makes sense, and it's like the other day I was sitting with myself and I always say, I see you and I love you and I honor you. Because I was at a place one time where like I'm overcoming a big trauma. And I now know that everything I went through, I always knew, but was for a reason. And I healed because I was seen for who I really was. I was loved, not just like, oh, I love you from people, but like from a heart space, from mentors and from people. And I was honored as who I was, exactly where I was. So now that's like, when I hear you, your soul mission to help, it's mine too. I want to know that if somebody's in my space or around me or if I show up on social media, because to me, it's important, that space is that people see that they're seen and they're honored and they're really loved. Like I see people not for, what we've been told we are, but like as authentic and almost colorful, like paintings, like it's who I see, and loving people from a heart space. Like go through life with your heart. Like Ram Dass, the thing it said, that's what he said. He loves everybody. When he goes out, he really does love everyone. And I understand that because like prior to some of my trauma, I was kind of that kid. It wasn't my truest essence. And I don't know, like I keep saying, I'm like, all quantum versions of yourself are welcomed here. And I keep asking my partner, I'm like, does that make sense? Like, do you understand? Because I'm like, you have a version of me out there. I've created a version of me out there. There's tons of them out there, right? And it's like when they all kind of come aligned with love and honor and truth, because the more you are the vessel and you evoke yourself, then they kind of all come aligned, if that makes any sense. So I wish that for everyone, to just feel all themselves at whole as one, as their higher self. And I don't know, it's just, it makes me happy. And if I can help people feel that way, it's the best feeling in the whole world. It's
Truly.
like, yeah, it really is. And it's like, oh, and my art seems to like make people feel things, and I love it. I'm like, oh, that's exciting.
Truly, truly. And I mean, you just exude love. Like my heart just bursts when I think of you and when I see you, when I'm in your energy. And yeah, I could just go on and on and on about how much I love you. What I would love to know, Valerie, is like, how did you get into this space? I'd love to tap into your art for a moment because you are so talented. And like, how did you get into this arena of art? And has it always been a part of you, or what was the catalyst for you to get into this space?
So my whole life I've been called creative or artistic, always. But I actually, it's funny that you think about that, because I thought about this for myself the other day. But I grew up where coloring inside the lines and how good you were validated you. So I was excellent at following rules and coloring inside the line and writing perfect, which was great. I mean, but what happened was that I lost the ability to just, I'd always would think, and I would see people just draw and draw, and I'd be like, I could duplicate anything. If I felt an energy, my mom would be like, oh, you can draw faces so well, because I could capture it. But that's all I could do. And I remember being kind of like so stuck. Always, though, always in art, makeup, or whatever. And then I met Marcus, my partner, and he is an artist, and he's so many colors, and just like amazing. And I remember being in his studio and feeling so free, and just spilt the paint. And he looked at me and he said, you've never had the opportunity to do this, have you? Be just, and I'm like, no, good, be good. And I felt doing that was just, I didn't know how. So that's when I think the really big healing part started coming up, is that when COVID hit, I did some work, but I started just painting. Like, I don't know what was happening, what was going on, but it was just, Marcus couldn't keep up in buying me canvases. Like, it was just like, I was like puking it out. And I felt so good. I felt authentic. I felt, oh my gosh, and shame would come and all this other things. And I actually had no idea what was happening. But all I knew is that it felt really, really, really good. And I was like, what is this? And then it just wouldn't stop. And now, like I said, like last week when I was sitting on my couch, and I have actually a painting that I used to, it's like behind me. I used to look at it and just be like, oh, those were my studies. I was like practicing the old narrative, of A and B, and this is what you were doing. You were doing painting because, I didn't know. And then I look at it and I'm like, no, I wasn't. Look at that. That's like the matrix breaking. That's like the concept. And I'm like, oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. And I go back and I look at my other ones and I'm like, oh. But it took me taking another part of myself out of the equation again to see it. And now it's like I have more ability with my practice to hone in on it. It's kind of like if I sit into a meditation and I'll ask, I'll just sit in front of a blank canvas if that's the way that I choose to go, and the colors will come. Be like, put purple on, and I'm like, okay. And then it just, lately it's been these like almost, how do you say, paysage, like landscapes. But I feel like they're like landscapes, like if you break us down, and if we become like the galaxies or a universe, because this is our form self and we're here, but our souls and the colors that we are, that's what it feels like. it's like, oh, but working with the abstract, like that's, I think, why I love abstract, because it's so no form. And yeah, and I was working with, I remember I had this painting and it was a spider. And I started this spider when I was, I had, how do you say that? My art residency with Merit Gallery.
Mm-hmm.
And I had, Megan, I have to say this story. You said I had painted a spider, and in the spider's womb was a fetus. Now, I did not know I was pregnant. I did not know I was able to be pregnant. And I had painted this spider. I covered up the fetus, like, and I really loved it. Anyway, so time goes on, and I'm like, I had a baby. We didn't know we were able to go, and she's absolutely amazing. And I kept seeing my spider come up, but I wasn't sure if I was to paint on top of her, because it's like I wanted to hold on to it, because it's like, oh, the lines were good, and just I'm going to hold on to this. I'm going to make it great. And then Marcus, of course, because he is who he is, brought it upstairs. I'm like, oh. And then I kept feeling blue. Oh, I feel blue. So I brought my daughter with me, and I hear subtle nudges of like, record this moment. Mm-hmm. Record this. And I'm like, okay, so it's a super bad quality, but I'm like, okay, baby, like, what do we do when we feel blue? I'm just like, whoa, whoa. And it felt so good to like, let it out, like, my throat, and just with her. And it's actually the painting that's behind me. Oh. And I'm like, I need to do this with people. I need to I don't want to do how to paint a tree or how to be abstract. I want to have people around me, and I want them to be able to go like on the canvas.
Yes. So
that was it. And I was like, oh, that's like the next evolution of me. Like, I think I've talked to you about it. I was like, oh. So yeah, and that's kind of how it all went like a link, you know. I'm a very big flower. I can be very feminine inside of energy. Like I download, I can create a whole world in front of me. But this year, actually, my goal was to step into my masculine a little bit more, to do these things, not just talk about them. But so yeah. And now I want to share it and to actually say like, yeah, I'm like a channeling artist or an oracle artist.
Yes.
And it's okay to say it, right?
100%. There's so much to tap into here. So before I ask you some specific questions, I just loved, like you've recorded that and shared it on Instagram, and Clementine, your daughter, was with you, of course, as you shared in your story. And when you made that expression, and like I felt it, like, and sometimes we just feel blue, and you like put the blue strike on the artwork. And Clementine, her reaction was so profound. I was like, this is incredible. Like this, what a gift to share with your daughter, and to show her to how also just to express these emotions and to release these emotions and to use color to transmute these emotions, right? Yeah. It's incredible. So in terms of for those that aren't aware, like what is a download? And when you say channeling, like how specifically?
A download, well, say right before this thing, I sat here and I quiet my mind, because our mind can interfere all the time. So my way to know where it is coming from, that it's my higher self, my soul, and that it will be for the greater good of all. I ask questions. Like I will first say, I'm sitting in meditation, and if there's anything to come through, that what I feel and what I hear be for the greater good of all, and show me, through pictures and through feelings. And sometimes like a download will be that I'll see myself in front of an audience or a captivating, and I feel it all. I feel it, I see it. One of my ways that I know that it's a really good download is what I'm wearing. That's just a clue that I have for myself. If what I'm wearing, I feel really good, or my hair, I'm in alignment. Because I ask those questions because I want to, in a sense, know and trust. And then for painting, sometimes it's like in my side of my gut of my stomach. It's like, ugh, that feeling. And I'm like, okay, I'm to paint right now. And if I get too busy and I don't have time, my thoughts are more spinning, and they're more like in loops. So when I have more time to sit with my soul, because for me, downloads are my higher self guiding me into where I'm going to be living in my soul's purpose. Like say doing this, like I saw us doing this. We saw this like a couple of years ago, like when we first saw each other, Garuda Center. It's like, oh, what is this? Oh, I have a nudge. Okay, I'll follow it and I'll trust. And I think that's for me as a download. And for colors, I'll like when I paint. So there's two different ways. If I start with a blank canvas, that's really fun because there's no energy behind it. I will sometimes actually like get automatic writing, painting that goes on. I practice Reiki. So sometimes Reiki will actually be in, or an intention, what needs to come through. So that if the blank canvas is blank, and you know what, sometimes like it could be a Taurus, or I think I'm going to do a woman's face because that's what my, ego, whatever it is, I'm going to do that. But then a week or two later, it's a flower of flowers that I have no idea how it became. So it's, yeah. And then say if the painting has layers, that's a wild trip for me because I have no idea, especially if somebody gave me a painting or like a canvas. That's when I started realizing is when I was being gifted pre-owned canvases. I was like, whoa, what is this? Marcus is like, what is wrong? I'm like, whoa, there's a lot on here. So, and then I would learn to work with it. But what would come up sometimes, I'm like, well, that's weird. And I'm like, okay, cool, it's done. And so, yeah,
I love
we're
it.
going at, but that's kind of how it is. And I'm just learning to flow with it and to just, it's what it is. Where will it go? What's going to happen of it? Right now, it brings me so much joy. And I see my art in like it, and I'm like in like healing places, or like places that's like, I don't know, because they're like portals, right? Like, oh, have the painting or sit with it. And what do you feel? Like, I love that. I love when I share it. I'm like, what is this to you?
100%. I love it.
Yeah. Thank you.
So what I'm receiving from you and what you're sharing, like it feels like, and it sounds like, and I know, like you have immense trust within yourself and your gifts. Would you agree?
Absolutely. Yeah, I do. I think it's like, that's what doing this showed me, actually, because the amount of gut it takes to do a simple black line and to say, I'm done. I get it. I get it. Like those big canvases that people were like, well, they just did a red painted line. I'm like, do you know what it takes to do that? There's not thousands of them, is there? Because people want to complicate it. And it's like, yeah, to just go like, and I'm done. That's I can do it, but a part of me wants to be like, well, I can keep going, which I do, but man, to just go like, "Ah, here's the canvas, it's over."
Oh my goodness. Oh,
Anyway, it's fun.
I love it. I'm obsessed, obsessed.
Thanks.
Thank goodness for so many things, but I just got a flashback of like when you brought Marcus into the conversation and how he invited you to be, right? And to come
Mm,
into that energy of being. Would you say that was like a huge catalyst for you?
absolutely.
Mm.
Absolutely. If I wouldn't have met Marcus and where he was at and where I was at, and the gift he gave me of space
Mm.
to release, like I don't know. I never had that. Like I used to walk up to the university and see like art students, and I would cry because I wanted it so bad. I
Mm.
would be like, "Oh, you guys are," and then they wouldn't really attend. I'm like, "You guys get to play with all this paint." And then yeah, and I remember him telling me one day, he's like, "You don't want to go there." He goes, "They'll
Mm.
take away what you have. They'll
Mm.
put it in a box." And I was like, "Oh." He's like, "No, you don't need anybody to validate you, Valerie, or to say you're good. You are." And
Oh.
I was like, "Oh." And he's like, "And if you need help," yeah, I went to Emily Carr. I got the debt for it. Let me tell you. He said, he's like, they would destroy somebody like you. It would
Mm.
not do you good. And just to be heard that from like such like wanting to be a perfectionist and healing from
Mm.
not having a voice to having a partner, first of all, a male, give me so much space to be. I don't know. I'm like, I tell him every day, I'm like, I'm so grateful for you, like, and
Mm.
he will make sure, like just yesterday, I came from the bathroom and in front of my easel is a brand new canvas, and I'm like, "Hey, thanks." He goes, "I know."
Oh.
He knows. So it's because he needs it also,
Mm-hmm.
right? And yeah, I don't know. I would I was always this person, but
Mm-hmm.
to be seen,
Truly.
it's truly being seen. And it's like the other day he goes, "Veilleux, I wonder where you'd be right now if you would have had this as a kid. Where would you be?" I'm like, "Oh, I don't know." I'm like, "Oh, I don't know." And he's like, "Oof," because I get really excited when I finish a canvas.
Mm.
Yeah. It's
I
like,
bet.
oh yeah, but then I almost grieve the moment too, because this canvas that I just finished is like a year and a half of really of evolving. And I like, I don't know. I'm like, "Oh, thank you." It's like, oh, a new phase is.
Mm-hmm.
And then my aunt, I shared with her, and she's like, "Oh, Valerie, I just had that dream. I was there." And I'm like,
Wow.
like things like that. Or I don't know. It makes it all worthwhile.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
And I mean, how is it for you to release your work and to have people purchase it and to like see it on their walls, if you will? Like, how is that for you?
It's wild.
Yeah.
It's like I remember like my biggest one was Nakahe, and it went to a spa that was open, Solas, right, Lynn.
Mm.
And I think I vibrated for 3 days, like,
Mm.
and then I was like, felt naked because I was like, "Oh my gosh." And then, yeah, it's been a whirlwind. And like sometimes, like now people post pictures of themselves and my heart's in the background. Or like a friend will post and then people will comment, "Is that a Valerie?" And I'm like, Marcus." So yes, it's
Yes.
this feeling you're hearing in my voice. It's like I'm still like a little kid, and it makes me so excited
Mm.
to see where it goes. Because it's,
Mm.
I don't know. It's like thank you. for who, but like, you believe in me and people seeing it, it's everything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Truly.
Right.
So where do you see you go, your where do you see you going with your art, and where do you see you going with all of these beautiful visions that you have?
um so just to quickly, many moons ago, I used to work with associations, and I would come in, and a little bit of my background is I used to do energy body work. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm still stepping into it. I would love to be able to facilitate actually people. So you have a group of your employees, and the afternoon, I would come in and we would do art. We would do painting, Reiki. I love sound bowls, treatments. So it's kind of like a package. I come in, me, hello. We sit, and I would love, I am going to do this. I'm going to love actually sitting with others and showing them how this is accessible to them also, and it reminds me of a little kid. Like, I was really blessed with beautiful crayons, and my favorite thing was sharing them so they could feel what it was like to have the crayons. So now it's like, as an adult, it's like that inner child that's still there. It's bringing people nice paintbrushes and paints and a canvas, and that they get to experience the fluidity that is within all of us that they can reach, if it's with art or singing, or there's all different like modalities that we can have, right, to get to that state of being fluid with ourselves and just and so yeah. And I see myself, I know it's like, but I dream really big.
Mm-hmm.
But everybody leaves with like a super nice canvas, nice brushes, and some colors, and that they can either say like, this painting is done, and they hang it up for 3 months. But if they get that, like, oh, I feel blue, that they can take their paintbrush or a crayon or whatever and not allow a moment, even though if they love it, to control them, but to be like, and just paint over it,
Ugh.
like, it's like your timeline thing. Like, do you know how much I use the timeline regression things? Even if I woken up on the wrong side of the bed, I will sit in meditation and rewrite my morning before it goes too far. So art and painting, that's another way to access it, right? And that's what I want to do. I want to like have people with me, and if it either be serious or not serious, and share that tool.
I
Yeah.
love it. Oh,
Thanks. I think it could be lots of fun.
yeah, sign me up, definitely.
Yeah. And I will
Um,
do it.
yes, I see it for you, truly. And I mean, you have not only your art, but like you are the like full package. Like you are, as I shared, like the real deal, and have so many gifts to support people in, I always like to say, their homecoming. And what a gift to, like, through your immense trust within yourself, to create that ripple effect and show others what's possible through trusting themselves. Like, what a gift, right? To really give
Yeah.
them back their power and their ability to see and to feel and to hear and to create. Like, what a gift. So I'm
Thank
so excited
you.
for you.
Thank you, Megan. Yeah. And let that inner child, it's like, I don't, I just come up with things. But last night I said to Marcus, I'm like, I don't want to remember what it's like to be a child, like from pictures or baby books. I want to still be a child. That's what we should be teaching, not
Yes.
encapsulating a child's memory through a baby book. Yes, okay, don't get me wrong, they're great. But what if, as parents, we just never let them lose it or know that it's always there? Let them remember their own memories and what they are, because they are still that child. It's not just like, oh, remember when I was a child, like this is what I did. It's like, no, you're still doing, that's still you're still there. So that's like super important to me, to like have the inner child and alive, because it will guide you so beautifully. It doesn't see borders, it doesn't see differences, it just feels. And I don't know, it's and also a really powerful way to heal that inner child. You know, like that inner child is upset and it wants to paint black or even like on your canvas. Let him do that. Do it, then do it. There's nothing wrong, because after that you can take your white paint and you can recover your canvas. You know, it's just like a metaphor almost for how much like you can shift your life, you can create the life you want. And I don't say this lightly, but it's true. You know, meditate, find mentors, they're there. If you have resistance to somebody or something, maybe you should go to it. You know, like your podcast, when you're constricting, when you're like, when you start hearing the negatives that are kind of negative towards somebody or something, yeah, well, maybe you should paint on your canvas. And I don't know.
It's true. Yeah. Lean into the resistance, right? Like I am a
Yeah.
firm believer, resistance is our greatest teacher. And that's where the muscles are built, is through the times of resistance.
Not be afraid of fucking up. Don't be afraid of having a death of yourself either. Like, don't hold on so much to this one version that's like obviously not serving you super well. It protected you maybe, but it's like, I deal with this daily. Like, you know, like I could share about my background on that part, but I kind of don't even want to give it a voice that much anymore, because I don't want that reality. That reality makes me that I honor people and I really see them and I run through my heart space. But it's like we say, like the Voldemort, we don't even say his name, but the one that we don't say its name, don't say it. I'm not like looking at it. I've done the work, but right now, this is who I am. I've created this for me and for you, because this version of Valerie is going to serve the humanity much better than the other version, right? The other version was there to bring me to where I am at now today. To, if you are that version, that I can have space for you. It's okay. I know, speak your truth, let that story be said, but then come on, let's go paint something really beautiful together. And
Oh, obsessed. I love it. I love it. I love it. Do
thanks.
you see yourself, so you spoke about the energy work that you've done in the past, and how it's coming into the vortex. Do you see
Yeah.
yourself, like, how do you see yourself facilitating this work? I know what you shared with me about the art and such. Do you see yourself coming back into that space?
Yeah, I am. And that space is it's very sacred to me. Um, that space is like my art, like with like money, say a thing. That's one I can play with more in a different way. With being in a room, that is just like a sacred space, that I'm a completely different person. See, my voice will even change as soon as I feel myself being present in a room, because I know how much touch or this kind of work, this is deeper, right? We have our own authentic place and our own energetic body that deserves like the most respect. So this, I'm going back into it. This, I'm taking it as it comes, very lightly. I think I was starting to want to have it perfect. That's like a way of controlling. And I know that I'm just going to start offering it to people that I actually feel called to be like, hey, Megan, can I come work on you? Or if somebody reaches out, that I offer it, and then I'll see where it goes. Because that's like that's like for myself, that's like a whole other aspect of me that like I have really deep honor with, and I don't take it lightly. And I'll be completely honest, I am not here to doing 6 people a day again.
No.
I never want to do that again, because for myself, I wasn't honoring my essence, and others, like I was on a hamster wheel. So yes, I am going to go back into it. I am still getting downloads as to what source, which way it's playing out for me. And that's just being honest. It's like, I'm trusting where that will go, because my art is something. And then this is like, say my art's like my inner child, and like that work is more like sham, and I don't really like to use that. I don't like, well, I was always told not to label myself, but it's different, if that makes sense. It's very
100%.
different. Yeah. So
100%. Yeah.
it's, yeah.
And I love that I mean, I can feel it. And I've had past experiences that were not, they were not good with body workers, energy workers. And so I have had a lot of resistance to trusting again. But I also, as you know, and the listeners know, like I'm all about trusting the language in which your body speaks. And my body's like a whole full body yes to you. And
Thank you.
truly, yeah. I mean, I've shared this with you before, but I would trust you with my life. And I don't say that to anyone. So I could be here all day with you, Valerie, and I cannot wait to have another visit with you and baby C. Oh my goodness.
Oh my gosh. She's a firecracker, that one.
I just love her so much. Oh my goodness.
Me too.
So for our listeners, how can people connect with you? Do you have anything that might be coming up soon that they can perhaps co-create with you?
Yeah, I do. On the 24th of February, a dear friend of mine, Kyla and Mel, are hosting a sound bath cacao breathwork. It's happening downtown Nanaimo from 6 to 10 at night. First night that baby's gonna be with Papa all night. But through that, I'm also myself, I'm gonna have my own space. Where this is where I'm working on some magic. I'm getting lots of downloads. I just sent my friend a message, either going to have some live painting, maybe get people to actually experience what I want to offer and experience it at its baby stages and see how it goes. Right. So yeah, I'll have my own little room after the big ceremony. And I will have I'm going to be live painting and allowing people to come join with me. Yeah. And then I'll have my bowls, and I will offer, Reiki, of course, if it's open. So yeah, that's what I'm planning for the next 2 weeks. And I'm super, super stoked about it, and I'll have my art there for sale. And I'm actually working on a logo. I'm doing that tomorrow. Super exciting, because it's like I'm ready for it, and I don't know, I want this message to keep going. So there you go. It's like we wear things all the time. I'm like, dude, you're like the biggest supporter of people.
Yes, truly.
So yeah, that's actually what's coming up right now. The 24th is the next big thing that I'm planning for, and tomorrow I'm working on my logo. Yeah. And then in the next 2 weeks, my goal is to have 1 or 2 people on a table and see where I flow with it, just to touch. So yeah, so far,
so
that's
cool.
all there is. Thanks.
Sign me up for all of it.
Okay, cool.
I love it. And in speaking of downloads, what kept coming through, and by the way, your aura is just like exuding, so expansive. I'm just like, I keep getting like, I'm just like mesmerized. I'm like, anyways, off topic, but not really. A download that just kept coming through our conversation. Like I've always felt that you and I are going to do something together. And I see us co-creating something, co-facilitating something here on my property this summer. So just putting that out there.
Oh yeah, I've seen this so much, and the music is pumping.
Yeah, totally. Oh, I
Sorry.
love it. I love it.
Yeah.
Well, before we close today, I have a question. So if someone
Oui.
feels like throwing in the towel or quitting or giving up, what is a message of hope that you can share with them?
Oh, I've been there. Um, my biggest thing that I used to say to myself over and over again is that I'm worthy. And I would actually look at myself in the mirror when it was really, really challenging. I did not believe it. And I would write, I'm worthy, I'm worthy, I'm worthy. And like I say, to teenagers in my life, that, it's like when you feel like giving up, just know that maybe it's a death of self, that a new one of you could be reborn. That, and reach out for help, because I promise you there's somebody who's going to love you even more after you share your ugly thoughts with them. That was probably one of the biggest catalysts that somebody said to me. And I was like, oh, really? So yeah, don't fear, but have support, and know that even the parts of you that you think are so ugly and not worthy, they're the parts that make you so beautiful and worthy of being here. So
Oh,
yeah, that's what I would say.
oh my goodness. I love you so much. Again,
Ditto.
full body shivers.
Yeah, me too.
That's going to be the title of this podcast, Full Body Shivers. Oh, Valerie, I love you so much. I
Thank you.
definitely can't wait to have you back on the podcast. And thank you for being such a bright, expansive light. And yeah, you are a gift to this world. And I love you.
I love you too. And Sat Nam.
Sat Nam.
Sat Nam.
Thank you so much for dropping in with me today. If you loved this episode, I would be forever grateful if you rated and reviewed. And if you feel called to share it with your community on social media, please tag me so I can thank you personally. Until next time, I will see you on Dropped In.